Hello, Ray Hernandez.
Hello, Stephen. I don't know your middle name, Ray. What is your middle name?
I didn't say your middle name, though.
I know, but do you have a middle name?
Troy.
Troy. How do I not know that?
Yeah.
That's an awesome name.
All right, cool.
Mine's Daniel.
All right, excellent.
And growing up in the 80s, I wanted to go by my first name because of Daniel's Son and Karate Kid.
Daniel's Son.
Everything. So I thought it was so much cooler.
The movie episode continues.
Yeah, I can't help it. That's just my brain. My brain literally functions in movie quotes. I cannot stop it.
I went by Troy one year when I was in grade school, and then I changed it, and it just confused all the kids. I've also had a last name change, or a false last name change, where I was going to change my last name to Franklin because that was my grandparents' name. And so for 1 year, I think, I was Stephen Franklin. And then I was Stephen Ray, and everybody's like, what is going on? So in the yearbook 1 year, I just like shift.
Totally random story. So do you know this? So my wife like is like legit she was born in China. Her family came over here on a boat. You know, like crazy story. Like it should be like a movie or a novel. Like her mom had them all, hide them in trees,
I don't think I knew
wars, all this kind of crazy shit, right? Dude, it's insane. But the crazy part of that, which, I mean, not that that's not crazy, but once she got here, right, you know, it's like English is not their first language, right? And so my wife starts elementary school. And
wait, how old was she?
I don't know, 4 or 5.
Okay, so she had already started talking.
In China, she was in China she was born. I'm skipping ahead in the story.
No. I mean, she was 4 or 5 when they came over to the States?
No. She was a baby. She was
okay, I gotcha.
Gotcha. 1 or 2, or I don't know. So what do you call it? Now she's like going to school, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know where it came from, but somebody in her family or something told her that her name was Kelly. And so she literally thought her name was Kelly. And so she went through like the first few grades as like Kelly Chung. And that's not her name. Her name is Doanne Chung. And so it's like, you know, it's like, but all those years that are like at least a year or two that she legit thought her name was Kelly because someone was like, you're Kelly. And she's like, okay. You know, like, and so I don't know.
It wasn't like her parents that said that? Like, that's crazy. She went a couple of years.
This is my theory. I feel like an older sister was fucking with her and was like, okay, you're a Kelly. Like, maybe because, like, Saved by the Bell was on or something like that.
There you go.
You know, and she was so young that she had no idea, right?
That's
and
funny.
she was like, okay, I'm Kelly, you know?
So, similar thing, not with the escape from China or anything, but so my birthday is on Christmas, and so when I was younger...
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, well, not yet. When I was younger... really young, my parents wanted to make another time to celebrate that wasn't Christmas, so that I guess I would get like presents or whatever on a different day. And we celebrated it on Thanksgiving. And so when I was in like first grade, I guess the teachers are like asking everyone when their birthday is, and I'm like, yeah, mine's on Thanksgiving. And they told my mom, they were like, yeah, he's behind. Like, kids at this age are supposed to know what their birthday is, and he thinks his is on Thanksgiving. She was like, oh, I think that's my fault. So anyway, they thought I was an idiot.
Well,
yeah, I was waiting for that.
You know,
anyway,
I was being
speaking
nice.
Of grade school, dude, so Essex is working on a presentation. So he's
Essex
in first
is
grade.
Your son, for
that's
those
correct.
That don't know.
Yeah, a little context, I guess, helps. So he's working on a presentation. I'm actually pretty stoked because it's on Jackie Robinson. And, you know, not that everyone knows, but have a mixed family. So my wife's black. And so it's important to us that he also learns. It should be important to everyone, but it's obviously because we're a mixed family, it's important for us, specifically, I think. But so we're stoked that his person was Jackie Robinson, which has been cool because, he's not just going to do this research himself. So we've been helping and learning all this stuff. And so anyway, one of his things that he had to do is put together a poster board. And so we let him kind of think through what he wanted it to be, but he's still not at a level where he's like going to put together this poster board. And so, we were helping, and my wife, she's like, oh, you're basically, it's not what she says, but basically she's like, oh, you're so good at this, do this part. And it ended up being like, she definitely helped and she led the creative direction, but all the work was like on me, as far as like, she printed out these like letters that had to be laid down individually. And so I had to like measure out the board, figure out the halfway point, like just really like, I can't just like eyeball it necessarily, because you've got multiple words, and I'm like, at the end of this, like this has to be centered. And it's not like when the kids start drawing and they hit the line and they just start writing down the side of the paper.
So your designer brain went off the chain.
My designer brain went off, and that was fine. And then the other thing she always has me do is like writing. Like, I have pretty decent handwriting, specifically if I'm doing like just all caps letters. Like I just kind of write like that most of the time. Like she has like nice cursive handwriting. I wouldn't say my cursive handwriting is nice at all, but so she's like, okay, you need to write this part. And she had like these 10 factoids that are like all these paragraphs. And so this morning, I didn't realize that she hadn't already banged that out. And we get up this morning, she's like, hey, you need to hurry up and get up because you've got to write all this stuff in there. And I'm like stressing out. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to fuck up? And I did actually. I had to get a piece of white paper because I spelled shit wrong a few times because I was trying to hurry. But we got it worked out. But it's just funny. Every time it's like, when Nicole, my wife, wants me to write a card or write somebody's name on the front or whatever. Like, I don't know why. I just go into like, oh, fuck. Like, I'd just rather her do it, even if it's like not great. Because I'm like, I don't get so much pressure.
Then we don't get blamed for it not being perfect. No, it's.
Yeah, I thought you were a designer.
No, it's a legit thing where it's like, I feel more comfortable like handing over a design to a fucking billionaire fucking client than I do to my wife.
Right.
It's like their stress level is so high because it's like
I'm not gonna have to
maybe it's
hang
like
out with them.
No, but it's like maybe our wives just have such high expectations of us that like we feel like we can't live up to it or something.
Well, it's kind of like when you're asked, it's asked because there's a high expectation. It's like, oh, you're really good at this part, so you do that. This thing that I care enough about how it's presented to our friends or to the public or to the school. You need to do that because you're so good.
But that's the most fucked up part, is there's so much stress on like an 8-year-old's poster for school.
For the school, I know.
That you're
Nobody
not even
cares.
probably supposed to be working on. The kid was supposed to probably do it all himself. And
I wondered about that when I was doing it, but at the same time, I was like,
everybody else is going to be like all scribble with like wrong spelled words.
I'm that parent
and Essex
now.
is going to roll in there with like perfect cursive writing everywhere and block letters. And
it was turned out pretty good actually. So
see, man, I can't help it. My brain literally just works in movie and TV. Like I have this whole Cosby Show episode running through my head right now, where like Cosby like helps like his nephew or something, or his son like help with like a test, and he uses all these huge words that like there's no way like a fourth grader is ever gonna say. And the teacher has a parent conference with him, and she's like, his reading level is not even at the level that he would understand any of the words that are used in this essay, so I'm assuming that you helped him. That was you last night.
Totally.
Not the horrible Cosby part, but like the cheating Cosby part.
I actually wasn't even thinking about that part. What a bummer. That was such a great wholesome show.
That's jacked up. Anyway, it's I don't know. Story for you. Hold on, I need a drink.
There you go, listeners.
So last night, same kind of thing. We've been working on this project, and I feel like the NFT one, and like I feel like I don't know if you were. I was extremely happy with the name that we had picked out. I was kind of in love with it.
Do you think we should give like a little bit of an overview? We've kind of alluded to it a few times.
Oh, sure,
okay,
we can.
Go ahead.
But like, I just want this part of it because this is the name specifically, right? Last night, literally, we're trying to set everything up. Like we're like, you know, I've got to get a Twitter, we got to get this, and so we're like literally like putting in the username, and somebody else has it, and it was like this has been months, and then
Dude,
it was
worse.
Like, oh,
hang on, it was even worse than that. So I guess I don't know if we're trying to avoid saying the name right now, but basically I searched the name. So we'll come to it and let you explain it. But the name is Boba Buddies, and we already went through like an initial exercise of like what a good name is, what we thought would make sense. So Ray's working on the artwork, and he's like, "Hey, I have a solid connection that said first thing we need to do is get our Twitter put up, and once we get this ready, he's going to help kind of hype us a little bit." And I was like, "Sweet, you're working." So I just went on to Twitter immediately and was like, "Start a new account." And so Boba Buddies was taken, and so I messaged you that, and I was like, "It's taken," and you immediately responded back, and you were like, "Wait a minute, fucking Boba Buddies NFT is taken." Like when I saw Boba Buddies was taken, I was like, "Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense."
No, it escalated so much that I put the phone down and was just like, I want to kick something so hard right now.
Well, which is funny because you did the research. Like we looked for stuff.
So here's the thing. Well, we've talked about research before in other episodes, and this is like another lesson for you. Okay, do not have one source of truth for your research. Right. I went to all of the marketplaces. I went to OpenSea. I went to whatever the other one is.
Right.
And
so you went to all the marketplaces that are like on like kind of like one platform.
Yeah, and I did a bunch of searches around boba and cute and blah blah blah. Right, and I was like, nope, don't see anything. Or if I did see something, I kind of thought it was garbage, and I was like, we could do better than that.
Yeah, and it didn't.
And so, but what I didn't do is just the thing that I should have done fucking first is go to Google and type boba NFT,
which seems
and then just
obvious.
go through like pages of it, because literally I found a bunch of them last night. I didn't think any of them were that great. There was one that was
pretty good.
Yeah, but most of them you could kind of tell they just kind of like threw some garbage together and was just like, eh. But we're trying not to do that. We're trying to like make something really nice. I was so in love with the name, and then last night it was like my heart got fucking ripped out of my chest because I was just like,
dude, I actually thought you were gonna like.
Dude, I was so angry.
I thought you were.
No, this is what makes it even fucking worse. Hold on, just to keep ranting. Okay, so this is what makes it worse. I had to. So one, I had to like get back into drawing, and I had to learn how to do this. Right. Well, then I realized by doing it in Procreate, because that's what I kept seeing all like the cool people were doing it in, is that was a stupid, shitty idea, and I should have just done it in Sketch or Photoshop or anything else, so I could have made it better.
Dude,
so then I fucking threw it all in the trash, and I started over from scratch,
which was good.
No, it was great. That's why I'm saying I went like I was on this high, thinking I fixed everything. I got it. It's perfect. I love everything. I love the name. This is gonna be awesome. And then we don't get the fucking name. And so now I'm like, what the fuck? Now I'm stressed again because I spent the rest of the night basically trying to come up with a new name, and I hate every fucking name that I can come up with right now. So anyway, sorry.
I'm gonna Uber over some Xanax to you,
dude. God, it's just. It's always that way, man. When you think that you're like shit's fucking awesome, something just gonna throw a rock at your face.
Dude, shit's not always that way, but there are always challenges. That's true. You're like negative rabbit hole right now.
No, that's me right now. I need a fucking name that I love. Somebody help me. But I don't know.
We'll
come up with something. We have something cool. It's called Boba Buddies. It's all around like you know. Boba tea, bubble tea, all the things, you know. People
raise a boba head.
Me and my family go every Sunday and get boba. My family has like favorite flavors. My son gets pissed because I'll always pick something awesome, and he's like, "Well, why didn't you get me that? Why'd you let mom give me this thing? You know, yours tastes better." So it's like a whole thing, but it just kind of worked out as a cool theme, and then now we got to come up with a better name. So
yeah,
now I just honestly. Now I just want to demolish every other fucking boba NFT on the fucking planet, and I want to be the king of boba NFTs. Like fuck everybody else, and I just want to kill them. Like that's my new goal now. King of boba
excellent.
NFTs.
Yeah. Okay, dude. Well, let's do it. What's some of the stuff you're doing? Are you doing any are you just like brainstorming around names now, or is there any specific thing you're trying to do to help you kind of like go down the right path or like come up with good shit?
Yeah. I mean, well, first it's like, it's all a research thing, right? So it's like, I'm looking at what popular collections there are out there, and like, I'm finding like a trend of like, well, there's typically like a descriptive word and then a noun, right? And so since our noun is boba, like, what's something descriptive in front of it? It's like, chewy or delicious or bouncy or whatever, boba.
Yeah.
But like, I'm hating all of it. So then
banging boba.
Banging boba. Yeah, I hate that too. But no, so I do that. At first I try to figure out a formula, like a trend for a formula like that. And then I go to like thesaurus.com and I start putting in words.
I love the thesaurus.
And then like I'll just literally find random name generators, just because like sometimes I'll just come up with like random shit, and you're like, oh, that's actually
or it gives you a good idea.
Interesting. Yeah, or it like takes you in a different direction. The name generator is actually probably my favorite thing, because it's not trying to be the thesaurus. It just literally is coming up with random names. So my buddy Curtis always uses this one that he makes fun of, like hipster companies, and he's always like, yeah, we're cake and bucket, because it's like you just take like two random things that make nothing, like don't have anything to do with each other. And so it's like some of them will come up with things, it's like has nothing to do with cute or boba or delicious, and it'll just be like shit boba, and you're just like, it's like two random things. And so I use those a lot.
Well, going back to your cake and bucket, what a trend that was. Like,
oh, dude,
it's like,
I see it.
It's
everywhere.
like something that makes you sound. It's like a craft. It's like leather and hammer.
Or what? No, but those are too close. They'd be like,
it's true.
Leather, and I don't even know, like what's something in tissues.
Couch.
Like yeah, exactly.
No, never mind. Anyway, we're picking that up.
Yeah, but I get where you're going. But yeah, no, it's. I don't think I have like a true process.
So
the names, it's more just like I gotta feel something, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. So going down the feel, like one of the things, like I feel like I always do. I'm very well, this is gonna come out wrong, but like no, I was gonna say very culty, but like it's very like it's more so like. Like you like to have your gang or whatever. Like this, it's like your tight community, I guess. And I've done that with like previous companies I've been a part of, like, I'm like the hype. I'm like the gang hype man. Get people excited about being a part of a thing. And so I always wanted to,
Mr. Positivity. I'm
100%, bro. 100%. So that's always a thing, like the feeling, because you mentioned that, you want to have a feeling. And so that's always like, anytime I'm going down names, like when we first started trying to think of names for this, I was like, I used gang and clan and whatever, all that type of stuff. Just because like when I'm thinking about, I'm obviously this is like lacks any, research, but it's like how it makes me feel. Mm-hmm. But I get an idea from how a lot of these things seem to trend. It's like, these tight communities, it's like when you get one of these with a lot of these ones that are really popular, it's like they start changing their names to that NFT community's name or whatever, and they're all about like, yeah, we're the team or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of like team mentality. I say gang.
Jumped into the gang, and
basically I wrote that in one of them. I was like, guys, just jump me in. I'm trying
blood
to get
in,
this shit.
Blood in, blood out. No, I'm with you. But when I say, I don't know, when I say emotion, it's like, it's almost more visual, but it's in my head, right? And maybe this is my process, because I do this.
Oh, explain that. It's visual in your head.
So when I'm thinking of the name, I'm already kind of designing a logo in my head, like this style font and this colors and whatever. And then I'm picturing it like on a shirt.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like,
I got you.
Right? And so it's like I'm trying to think of, okay, if I wasn't like in the computer and I'm out in the world, what's something that's going to like make people see that on that shirt and be like, what's that? Or that's cool, that's cute, that's whatever, Right. And so I try to design a logo in my head with that name. And so it's like you're saying, like the Boba Gang, and like I'm picturing like old English, like font.
Hell yeah.
It's very like Lowrider-esque,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that's dope, but I don't think that's like the cute thing that we were going for, so it's a little off. Okay, so what's next? And we go from gang to to something else, to like, what'd you say? What were your other ones? Like,
I mean, I don't remember. Clan. It was all the same shit, basically.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So like the word makes, like, the same way like my brain works in movie quotes. You saying certain things makes my brain start making pictures in my head.
Yeah.
And so very specific
I'm with
words
you.
for the name. I'm starting to see a picture, and like that, if it's gotta feel right. It's gotta feel like
Right.
the theme that I have in my head of this like very cutesy, bubbly, thick fonts,
Mm-hmm.
curves, all this kind of like, really kawaii kind of like vibe, right? And like certain words, I just can't find the word to stick in there.
So, dude, Boba Gang, it's got potential because, like, you could use the bubble, like the balloon letters. Like, that's like, that's kind of like
What'd
when
you say?
old, like, that's what is it called? Like balloon letter?
No, I got that part. What name are you talking about? The gang.
Boba
one?
Gang.
Okay, gang.
Yeah, because that's like old street culture. It's like
gang. Well, but gang is a different, is an interesting word, and it's growing on me the more you're saying it, because there's lowrider homies, and like thug life gangs, but then also gang is like all in the gang, like very cartoon-esque, like yeah.
So
like,
here's the thing though. I'm leaning more towards like, the thuggish, but like if you remember like old school graffiti when they would do like the big bubble letters or whatever, but it still looks totally like playful or whatever. Especially like you put a bunch of colors around
maybe
it.
we just came up with the name right now. I don't hate this. And also, I think that it kind of leads into something. This is one thing I do hate, or I don't hate. I've always wanted.
No, you hate it.
See, no, I hate it because I'm a hypocrite. But one thing I've always wanted to do, like with my own portfolio and everything, I swear it's not going off topic.
Pivot.
I wanted to have a brand that was always evolving, right? Like every time you went to it, it was like different. It was like a different logo. It was a different thing, right? And like.
Now, is it evolving or is it just changing?
It's changing because there's a million ideas in my head.
It's a randomizer,
and I want to do all of them, right? And so, I had a whole point. Anyway, your whole thing about like, I think it would be really cool. Like, say we do the cutesy gang, right? Mm-hmm. And like, it's all bubble letters and whatever. But then there's like this cool special edition shirts that's all old English and lowrider, and it's like, they got bandanas and they're riding.
We're figuring this shit out.
But you get what I'm saying? Like the same word, since it has multiple emotions and multiple visuals, makes it to where it's almost like you're creating. Not even an evolving, but a changing brand that could evoke different things to different people, even though it's the same thing, right? And I think that's really cool. That, to me, that makes it a win, right?
Dude,
so
we're so on fire.
Boba gang, bro.
Oh yeah,
We're gonna need our handkerchiefs.
100%. We did handkerchiefs actually on previous company because of I want to be gangster and shit.
You got the in.
Yeah,
you know where to get them printed. All right, cool. We're doing yellow and pink.
Yeah, they actually weren't as cool as I was thinking. Like, how like with a real handkerchief, like the color is equal on both sides. This one was more like they printed it on one side. You could kind of see it through, but it made it kind of booty. It didn't feel like a real thuggish.
It was more of a pocket square kind of thing.
Well, no, but yeah.
That's how you could use it, because you would fold it and you wouldn't see.
Well, no, it was too big. It was gigantic, but I mean, it was like a real. Yeah, you're just stuffing it in there.
All right, I like this, but cool. We'll do some loked out glasses, but they'll be like hot pink. You know what I'm talking about?
There's
like
a couple of
squared
special
off
editions.
loke
Totally.
Ones.
Oh, dude, come on.
All right,
dude.
No,
I went through a couple of phases as a youngster, and there was one of my earliest, banger phases was like Mexican, or I guess honestly it was probably. I think there was a real similarity with like the early like Snoop days and all that. It was like a lot of khakis with like flannels and shit like that. Dude, I was all about it, and I had the lokes and really crooked hat and shit.
I think that's one of the things that probably is why me and you get along so well. It's because like we grew up kind of like loving the same stuff as a kid. Like, I mean, my entire walls were nothing but like lowrider posters and
Yeah.
cars and
I know
rims
we've talked
and
about this. You know,
lowrider
like
bikes and like all
yeah,
that.
we've talked about. I was like a competitive lowrider bike builder.
And I honestly, it's like I envy you for that because I wanted one so bad. But like kind of like what I talk about now with products, where I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna go fucking make it. Like you went and made them. Like I wish I would have done that as a kid or had that as a kid. You know.
So it was pretty interesting time. We used to go to we literally would go to junkyards. My buddy's dad, he was like a mechanic. And he would take us to these junkyards, but it wasn't like just cars. It was just like junk. There would be cars in them and stuff, but his dad would be like, I think I saw some old bikes in there. But, you know, it was very specific because you had to have like an old Schwinn or something that looked like an old Schwinn. And more than Schwinn kind of had that swooped curve to it and all that. So we would go and we would find these treasures, and it always sucked. It was always great for one person. It sucked for everybody else because we're all scavenging, and one person goes, "I found one," and everybody's just pissed because they were like, "Why didn't I walk over there?" Because they weren't easy to come by, but it was pretty cool because we learned how to like use like all these. You know, I was probably 12 or no, hang on, I was older than that. I was more like 15 or 16. So we started using all these tools. I learned how to do like fiberglass and Bondo and all this because we couldn't weld and you needed to like do stuff to it. And then I probably already told you this, but we would go around to like bike shops and just look for, you know, just looking and stuff. And nothing really had lowrider bike shit at the time. And one shop had a pair of like wheels. And so it probably sounds super nerdy to everyone, but it's like, you know, they were like based on like, you know, Dayton's. So back in the day, in the 90s, people wanted like, they didn't want big rims. They wanted like, the rims were actually smaller, like 14s were like the thing. And you'd put like these spoked rims and then like, you know, anyway, it was cool and all that. But so for the lowrider bikes, they came out with these spoked rims that weren't crisscross spoked. They were straight. So they just looked totally different. And they weren't like performance at all. They were straight up lowrider bike rims. Mm-hmm. And so this one bike shop had them, and we're like, oh my God, like, do you have more lowrider bike stuff? And this guy was like, no, but here I've got this like printout you can check out. And it was basically a wholesaler, and we just straight up stole that shit. And I mean, it was just like printed out he just printed it out from like, well, I guess he didn't do it from an email. But it was like a Xerox or something. This was before the days of email.
He wasn't going to use it. He
wasn't going to use it. He didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. So we called and we were like, yeah, we need to place an order. And they were like, yeah, can we get your business ID number or your EIN number or something? And had zero idea what that was. Didn't know how many numbers. My friend that was with me, we were both like on the phone. You know how you do back in the day? You'd both be on the phone. And he just spouted out some numbers. And I was like, okay. And the lady on the phone was like, all right, cool. Well, we'll get the catalog sent out to you. And I was like, sweet, that worked.
It's like 6'9"
no,
12.
100%. Yeah. I would be surprised if he actually said 7 numbers. I have a feeling the lady on the phone was like, I don't fucking care. Just wrote in whatever numbers and was like, here's your catalog.
She wasn't even writing anything. She's like, I already wrote your address. I don't even care about this. Whatever.
But that was actually like my first legit business because we would order parts and sell them. And then we also would do like servicing, not servicing. We would actually build the bikes for people because we knew how to do it. So I had a garage like set up with all the Bondo and all the fiberglass, and everybody would bring their freaking Schwinns over.
That's so awesome. No, because I just remember in the it was always the very back of Lowrider magazine. It was like the very last page would have like the Lowrider branded bike that you could order, and I remember it was like $199, right? And it was like $299 for with the wheels that you're talking about, with like the 100 spoke ones or whatever they were.
Yeah, the baby D's.
And I was just like, that's so much money. I'm never gonna have one, but I want one so bad. You know what I mean? Like, and I wanted the trike because I saw those ones with the speakers on the back, so you're just cruising around like bumping, you know. And I was like, oh my God, I want that so bad. Like, I want to be that kid, you know. There was one kid in my school that had a lowrider bike, and I rode it. It was one of those things where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you think you gotta have something. You want it so bad, and then you have it, and you're like, this sucks.
Dude, these were not for riding.
Dude, I got on his because I'm big, right? And these things are very low to the ground because this had like the lowered fork in the front. And I get on it, and I'm just like, I can't even.
Did it bottom out?
I can't pedal. Like, I literally, like, I can't. It's like, you know, in those, like, in the circus where, like, the clowns ride the little bike. That's what I felt like on it. And I was
that was the thing. You had to get a crank that was only like 3 inches because they were so low to the ground. So, like, we all had to have looked like idiots because we had, like, a whole clan, like, that would ride around town. And we'd ride up to the high school and just hang out there. And it would be, like, 50-50. Some people are like, whoa, cool. The other people are like, y'all look fucking stupid. But yeah, we thought we were cool.
But that was also another reason why I wanted to trike, because like I felt like I'd be able to ride that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it's like bigger, it's wider, like it's a little higher off the ground. You know. But anyway.
Yeah, we digress. Lowrider bikes.
School. So design and lowrider bikes go hand in hand.
Totally. That was some early design days.
No, dude. I honestly that's one of those skills that I still wish I had. A friend, actually it wasn't my friend, it was our friend Amet's cousin, who lived in Terrell, which was like 30 minutes like north of like where I grew up. And him and his buddy, so like there used to be a thing on our street where I grew up, that we had a street called Galloway, and literally it's like my parents used to cruise Galloway when they were in high school.
Yeah,
and
there's always a cruising street.
And so it was the cruising street, and in our high school, like everyone from other cities would come to Galloway. There's all these like fast food places, and you like do this little route, and you turn around, you go back, and like, you know, waving at people and showing off your car. Well, it's like Amet's cousin. So Amet's cousin, his best friend had this like little mini truck, right? And
I hated those, dude.
So he would show up, and every week it would be a different color.
Oh, seriously? He was like, he was a painter, or was learning how?
They literally like were out in the country, had a barn, and him and Amet's cousin would literally like sand it down and like get like the craziest lime green color paint from the store and like paint it, put clear, get it all. Yeah. It's like they were getting it ready for the next week. And it was like every week it was a different color. It was like
back in the days when you didn't have shit to do.
Oh man. But I was just always, it's kind of the same thing with your bikes. It was like, I just wish I knew how to do that. I wasn't around anybody that was doing that kind of stuff, like with their hands and like making it. And so it was like, and there was no YouTube and stuff back then, so I could figure it out. So it's like, I just was like, one day.
Dude, I was pretty fortunate. I grew up out in the country, and my grandparents lived on like 160 acres, and my grandfather had like this, he had like a work shed, like gigantic, with like multiple saws and drill presses and all this stuff in it, and then a bunch of other, you know, things out on the property. But they would just let me go in there and play with the fucking tools. Like, they didn't keep me from it. I'm seriously lucky I have all my fingers. So, I mean, like, legit. But I did one time. There's these little nitrogen bullets that you use in like a nail gun. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
The cartridge.
I don't know enough about all this. Like, I've used tools, but I don't know exactly how these work. But basically, this was like almost like a bullet. So there's one laying there, and I knew it wasn't a bullet. But it was like, I couldn't tell what it was. And I fucking like put a nail in it and hammered it, and it fucking exploded in my face. Oh my God. And like, fortunately I closed my eyes or whatever, but I kind of like had that little bit of like a shock. I mean, it wasn't like bad, but like shrapnel. And so I kind of touched my face, and I was like, oh, you know, a little bit of blood or whatever, and didn't think it was major. So I run up to the house, and I'm fine. I just am like, shit, need to just check this and clean it off or whatever. I didn't feel anything. And I'm running in the house, and my grandmother goes, oh my God. And I'm like, I'm fine. And I run in the house, and like little pieces of metal like had a gun all over. They weren't in my skin, but my whole face was just like bleeding. You know, if you get like a cut like on your head, it bleeds more than anything.
Yeah.
It was just like blood.
You got shotgun blasted.
I did, yeah.
To the face.
Yeah. Fortunately, that was the worst thing that happened, and I didn't lose my eyesight or anything. But no, it was cool being able to grow up using all these tools, and I still have like a fascination with tools. Like that's always like one of the most joyful things when I'm like, I'm buying a tool. But
so I've always had, you know, I don't know why, but since I was a kid, I've always like, you know, like when I have enough money and I retire, this is the stuff I'm going to do. Like I've been thinking about that for like long periods of time.
The past 40 years.
Yeah, pretty much my entire life. But woodworking is something that I don't know how to do, that I'm fascinated by. And then like, I don't know. I think it's like, it's so slow too, that I think it's like, I'm normally like get everything done fast, and it's like the complete opposite. And like, I think it would like help balance me out or something. And I just want to make cool shit, you know, 'cause, like I love it.
Right.
So
no, I love both of those aspects of it. It's like, it feels like it might, you know, it's kind of like a Zen thing, or like a totally frustrating thing to get you all pissed off. But
both probably.
I think that's really cool too. The other piece of that is if you're actually able to make something cool, like all the coolest furniture, like has this handmade feel that I feel like we could do with some time and, you know, growth of skill.
I love mid-century modern stuff. And it's always like typically like a walnut, or it's like this certain type of wood. Well, and like it's like not overly designed. There are some stuff that's hard, that's like curved, and the curving wood is like a whole process.
Oh yeah.
But there's a bunch of pieces that are very clean line, modern, straight. Right. And I'm like, I should be able to put shit together and make a line. Yeah. You know, like it's like in my head, I was like, it's
kind of, I wouldn't say it's like super popular, but it's a little bit popular in the design community. I mean, like, really? That sounds really lame. I don't know. With people we know,
I'm a piece of shit sheep, and I'm just trying to be like everybody else. That's what you're saying.
Jesus, Ray. Yes, that's what I was saying. It's embarrassing. You had to spell it out.
Kind of mood I'm in.
But no, we'll have to get a little bit of insight because old Ben Hernandez has.
No, I know. I'm jealous. He'll post pictures on Instagram. And I'm like, fuck you. I wanted to do that. You know.
I think I may have sent the same message. It's like, when am I coming over?
There's like classes and stuff. And that's the thing. It's like that. I kind of feel like I don't want to try to figure it out on my own. Like I want a coach. Like I want a teacher.
Oh no, I want the base level, dude. Just like we talked about. I want the base level. I want somebody to show us, because we're still gonna suck and have to learn. But like, I don't want to start by like going like, well, okay, I know nothing. Let me start from scratch. I would like to, like you said, do like here's an intro to it, so you at least know like what you're talking about or how to get started.
I don't know. I kind of want to I don't want to take a normal class. I want to like hire somebody, because I want to be like, what I've learned is, if I'm not making something or trying to learn something that's specific to actually something I care about, I'm going to just lose interest. So I want someone to like, I want to design like a simple chair or a shelf or something that I want to make. And I want them to show me how to make that thing. Right. Yeah. And because if it's like, okay, we're going to make a box.
Oh,
then I'll be like, all right, this is fucking stupid.
You don't want to do the basic ass tutorial shit.
Yeah. That's one of the things.
Use something that like at least kind of starts to move into something that you're like, okay, I can build on that to do this thing that I know I want to do.
Which I've learned that from playing instruments, right? So it's like I play guitar, I have for a long time, but I play by ear. I don't know how to read music. That was smooth the way you opened
Man.
But what I learned is I had to learn a song that I actually wanted to learn. And then
that makes total sense.
And then I build on it. Now I learned that transition and that chord and that thing.
And part of that
these other things
is like, you're also going to want people to hear it. So you're learning it, and then you can like play it. You're like, oh, check this out. And you play it and you get feedback. You're like, oh dude, that was really cool. And so you're just going to like jam. You're just going to make sure that you can like totally jam.
No, that's one of the things I wish I could have done in high school. Is take like wood shop and metal shop and like all those things.
I don't think you will learn anything. I took shop. didn't learn.
Well,
shit.
I didn't get the chance because it's like those were always at the end of the day, and that's when I had sports. So I always had practice at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even. They weren't even on the list of things that I could do,
Dude,
because I was playing sports.
there was a girl in. She wasn't in my class. I'm probably glad. She was wearing a ring, and she got the drill press caught her ring and ripped her finger off.
Oh my god.
I don't know what she ever, if she got it reattached. Probably so, but I don't remember what happened after that. But the wood, teacher, we had to I don't remember. I think we couldn't go into a certain part of the shop that day, and he didn't actually tell us. Like, you kind of learned it through the grapevine, and then it was it was verified that it happened. But yeah, so whenever
because you all saw her finger on the ground,
saw the blood all over the place. No. No, the teacher actually ended up kind of telling us later, after obviously the rumor was all out. But also there was a new safety precaution of if you're wearing rings, you can't use the tools. It was like, well, okay, we learned that. But dude, you want to know?
I don't know if it was your internet or mine just now. Sorry, but it kind of freaked out for a second and you froze. So I lost the last part of your story, but anyway, you're about to ask me something.
Oh, well, now, so one thing I really want to learn, and I've wanted to for a long time, I want to learn how to weld. Have you ever welded?
I took a class in welding.
Oh, really?
And the same thing. It was just there's different types of welding, and I got taught the hardest, shittiest one that I would never use ever again.
MIG, TIG.
The one
something
where
like that?
the stick, you have the stick and you got literal pieces and you got to move the stick around versus the gun that you're literally just shooting on.
Oh, thing. Yeah.
I don't remember which one it is, if it's TIG or MIG, but I had this whole badass idea to make this metal chair, right? And it was going to be a metal
chair ever.
It was going to be a metal rocking chair, but the rocking mechanism was going to be car springs. So it's there's a base, there's the seat, and then there's car springs. And so when you sit on it, the car springs.
No, it's like the little kids' toy.
Kids
toy
throws
at the
you. Totally. And so I was just like, I'm taking a class. Well, actually, it was one of those things I taught.
So is this as an adult? Oh, yeah, you're in school?
This was at Eastfield Junior College.
Oh, okay.
And because it was just like an advanced art class. And I told the teacher, I was just like, hey, this is mixed media, but I kind of just want to learn how to weld. And he's like, well, I know how to weld. I can show you how
really?
to do that. Yeah. No, he was like, dude, the Eastfield art department is the coolest hippie teacher. I don't know if they still are, but they were the coolest fucking people ever. And
shout out.
Literally this guy was just like, cool. We got a little space over here. I got everything you need. You're just going to have to go buy some metal and get some stuff. And then we'll work on it.
Dude, that's dope.
And then what happened?
Dude, I wonder if teachers are still like that. No, finish your story. I want to come back to this.
No. So I didn't ever get it finished. But what ended up happening, which was awesome, is there was a guy in that class who was he just wanted to do watercolor. But for a living, he built bridges and did welding and steel and all this shit. So it was he helped me with the engineering and was like, oh, you can't just put the springs in the metal. It's going to break. He's like, you got to create a little piece that has a little pivot. And he literally he's like, come with me. And he took me he showed me underneath the bridges and stuff. And he's like, see those little pieces? Those are there for when the cars go over and the weight shifts. So the column doesn't break. And and so it was I was just going to fucking weld the two pieces together. And then I ended up getting this engineering, piece.
That's
so it was
awesome.
And that guy was just there to do watercolor. So it's
he's like, oh, yeah, I'm just a bridge engineer. Just people's lives are in my hands all the time. Whatever, I can help.
So no, it was awesome, but it was the gruntiest way to learn welding. I think now there's so many new types of tools and stuff, and it's welding's evolved a lot. It's actually almost plug and play.
Good, that's what I want.
So let's go to just what do you call it? The tool store and just buy the cheapest, shittiest one that we were cool with catching on fire. Yeah. And just weld some shit. Oh. No, I'm in.
You can teach me how?
I feel like we need to do I don't know, these totally random creative classes. We need to make it like a monthly or bi-monthly thing. And we'll just go take a class. We'll go do a woodworking class. And we'll go
this isn't nearly as cool, but it was kind of cool. Maybe you should do this with Doanne. Nicole for, I don't remember what the occasion was. Be lame if it was our anniversary, I think, but maybe it was. I don't know. You know, people weren't getting out doing much last year, but she got us these passes to this class where you basically go and build like a sign. You know those?
I've seen those stores. There's a shop, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen that, yeah.
Well, and basically, so that everyone knows what we're talking about, it's like you'll see people like put these like wood welcome signs on their like out on their porch or whatever, and most of them are pretty lame. But you didn't have to make that. And so basically you go in and they give you the most basic ass wood. And I'm like, well, I don't know how this is going to turn out. The stuff on the wall looks good or whatever. But when they give you the wood, you're like, this is like not nice wood. So like, okay, my expectations weren't high. But they kind of give you some tips. So like, hey, this is how you know, and the funny thing is like, I know how to paint. I know how to do all the faux painting bullshit or whatever. But they showed us some tricks about how to like mix stain or like paint while the stain is still drying, and it'll give it this look. Dude, it ended up turning out really cool. We made these like, she made like a sign for our front door that just has like our last initial on it. And then I made like I don't know what the hell it was. But dude, they turned out so legit. I was like, this is like good enough to see like in a store. But it was fun. And what I didn't know, and if I had, I would have partaken, but it was like you can bring wine and just like chill out. And so there were people in there drinking wine, and I was like feeling like a lush because I'm like, man, that would be so cool. Yeah. Anyway, it was cool.
I think I was telling you this, but so me and the kids, we try to do something like that, as you know, monthly, you know, a few times a year or whatever. Like we've made soap. We learned how to make soap.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Me and Aaron made this like crazy cloud lamp that sells for like $4,000, and we made it for like $20.
Dude, you told me about that too. That I saw that on Instagram. Totally want to do that. That looks so
like,
dope.
Well, we always like it's kind of
well.
like
Hang on,
thing.
we got to explain what it is.
Oh, it's literally like this. It looks like a cloud. Like it's made out of like this cotton-esque like stuffing, and it's like you shape it. Actually, it's really simple.
I just thought it was straight up cotton.
No,
cotton balls.
It's
stuffing. Okay, that's cool.
Something filling. You know, it's like for pillows. But anyway, what you do is you get like the Asian lanterns, like the little paper ones that are cheap.
Yeah.
You get for like at the dollar store. So you get different sizes of those, and you kind of you hot glue them together, and you kind of create the shape of your cloud. Mm-hmm. And then you hot glue all this stuffing over the top of it. Yeah. And it just truly looks like a cloud. Like it's crazy. And then what makes it really cool is when you put like smart lights and stuff inside of it, and then it'll like flash and look like there's like, you know, lightning going off on the inside, or like she has hers set to like at night, like it'll just go from like purple to pinks and stuff. And it's like her like nightlight thing, you know, in her room. But like I try to like, I'm trying to make it to where my kids feel like they could make anything, you know. So be like, they'll come up with something, you know, and we'll be like, well, let's do it, let's make it, you know. Like right now, like we're getting into profit and losses because they're learning about multiplication.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
And so my daughter is going to start her second company now, where I'm teaching her how to buy plushies on AliExpress for cheap, and how we could create an e-commerce store and sell them for more, and how she can figure out her profits. But then she's got to work in shipping and all these other kind of things. So it's like becoming like math homework.
Right.
So
she's like, yeah, I made money. You're like, yeah, what about shipping? What about the cost of the site? She's like, wait a minute, I'm losing money.
So she had her first company. Her first company was called the Unicorn Company, where she did custom unicorn drawings for people. And she thought she made money. And we did math at the end of the year, and I showed her the cost of the website. I showed her how much we had to spend on shipping them out, like to people, and how she was extremely negative with how much that she made from that company.
Did you make her pay?
Even though I gave her the money for it, you know. It's like, just so you know, this next time we're buying a
and
bunch
this
of
doesn't
things
include
from China.
taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's like, but you can't start with that. Like, you got to like get them to just
Totally.
make the thing.
They'd be like, I never want to do that again.
But now she's smart enough and getting to an age now where it's like all the little details make sense to her. And so it's like I don't know, we're trying to prep our kids.
Dude, that's awesome. That could be it may already exist. It probably does. It definitely should. But like, that'd be a cool class. Just like you get like a small group of kids and you're like, all right, everybody, like we're going to do this. I mean, I remember like at a very generic level, like going through that in high school, but you never really like played it out with anything that you had or you were selling. It was just,
well, I think that's the
they would
piece
just
that
talk
gets,
about it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is that the things that you learn in school stop, right? Like it doesn't show, okay, now that you have the product,
yeah.
Well, how do you set up a website? What kind of pricing are you going to do? You need to do some research on what other people are selling something like this for.
Dude,
you know what I
have
mean?
an idea.
Like, let's do it. Sorry.
Everything you're saying. I'm just spitting the idea out. I don't know if there's any interest. Yeah, but we should coach people, because there's people that are like, you're doing it with your, single digit aged daughter, but like there's grown ass people that haven't gone through that. And it's not a bad thing. You just haven't had that experience or had an opportunity to express that. But that would be super cool if we were like, like a class of 6 or something. And it's like, we're showing them all how to do this thing. We show them different options they can use for like, like it'd probably be easiest to do like an e-commerce play or something. Cause then it's like, oh, maybe not, but like going through that whole process of like, here's how you get from like beginning to end of like selling a thing. And then all the things you have to continue to think of. And I'm sure we haven't thought of everything. We'd probably learn a lot of, along the way ourselves.
No, actually, that's the part that I was actually thinking about while you were talking, because that's why I was saying, let's not do e-commerce, because like they might want to do something and it'd be like, cool, we got to learn how to do that. That'd be awesome. So let's do it. But it's like, no, I love that. It's actually, I used to have this whole dream. I don't think I want to do it anymore, of like being like a professor, and I would basically be the professor of entrepreneurship. And literally my entire thesis would be that or curriculum would be that every person is going to build a company and have to come up, like the goal is based on sales. Your grade's based on selling the thing, right?
I mean, that's legit.
Because it's like, that's the part, it's like you were mentioning in school. They might teach you how to make soup or how to do this thing or how to make underwear and like sew it and whatever. And then that's it. Right.
Like, that's what you do.
Taught you how to make the thing, but now what? Right. Like that's the piece. It's okay. Well, now what? Do I need a store? Do I need a website? Can I just sell this? Can I call people? Can I do whatever? How do I get customers? How much should I charge for this? Like that piece is not, I feel it probably is now, like I feel like education is shifting. Cause like, I mean, you can get a degree in gaming, right. Like, literally like, so it's like, I hope there's startup ones now, but I don't know. I don't think I've looked for a long time.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of like
young kids. There's not a lot for young kids.
Not a lot for young kids. And I think there's a lot of like startup sort of, startup things like I don't know, classes or education, but I think you have to be at a point in life where you're like, I actually am ready to do this startup. I don't know. I'm just thinking like something for somebody that a little lower barrier. Like we know of like these like startup, organizations, but it's like, actually I'm saying I know of it. I've never gone through one of them, but I mean, I've been to a lot of the little, pitch days and all that stuff. And it seems I
was part of an incubator. Like,
which one? Oh yeah.
I helped I helped companies with product, branding, design, experience, and everything as they were going through our incubator. So like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's that shit.
I do too. I'm just saying that's like, and maybe that's actually the best way to weed out people that don't give a fuck. Now that I'm saying it, because what I was initially saying was like the barrier feels high. It's like you almost like, and those like have to have something ready to pitch, and it's like, all right, now you're ready to. You've got all this shit figured out. Now let's like do all this stuff. And you actually, there's a lot more. accountability is a good thing. I guess what I'm just saying is like, I don't know, low bar.
Well,
Feet.
I follow everything you're saying, and I love it, and I'm totally down to do. What do you call it? Is it a course or is it like a program?
I don't know. We're just talking
we'll
right
figure
now.
that out. But what do you think? What do you think is a good price for something like that? Like you don't want to like overprice it.
$300.
We're talking like literally they're in ideation phase, right? And now we're gonna literally walk them through the thing. And like we're not gonna do it for you. We're gonna like help you and guide you, but you still got to put in the work. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to weed out a lot of people. And so I don't know, 300 even seems low. To me, it's like 5 to 1,000 for like, and then you get,
I mean, it's like, it's not just like an online course that we record once. So yeah, it's like you,
and it's completely personalized and it's for that person. But I do like the idea you said. It's like, it's only like 6 people or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that. But I think it's like, that would be really cool to do like a month-long program. To literally go, it's like we call it. It's the 0 to 1. We can help you go from ideation to an actual product.
And I think what would be cool about it too is if you're in a small class, it's like I think having all the people together, so they're not necessarily getting one-on-one. They would get some one-on-one, but everybody would still be there. So you kind of get to hear the shit that everybody else is having to go through. Because man, half the time, like that's what gives you inspiration. It's like, oh shit, okay, they're doing that. I'm not going to copy their shit, but it just gives you like, oh, well, shit, I could do this or whatever.
So what's interesting, you know this, but I don't think anybody else does, is like we call ourselves, like I've always called myself a Mexican gypsy because I move around so much. Yeah. And in like the 15 years me and my wife have been together, we've lived in like 22 different cities. And what I do when I go to a place is I always find a startup weekend in that city. Have you ever been to one?
Yeah, of course.
And I
like
think
mostly like in Dallas,
but those are, I feel like, exactly what you're talking about a little bit, or like we could use that as like our base, because the whole idea is like you're getting with some people and we're gonna literally bash together something in a weekend. Right, ours would be a longer time.
Oh yeah, I hate those, but I see what you're saying.
But the whole idea is like is what you're talking about. You learn from, because you're meeting people. You don't know these other people. Now
I say that, but I guess if you're going there and you're like, all right, this is what this weekend's for, is to like jam on this.
I literally would go for the reason it was almost like a de-stressor for me, and I have a million fucking ideas. I would never pitch an idea. I didn't want to. I wanted to just go and I wanted to meet people and I wanted to just like work with some people for the weekend. I wanted to and then now I do what I do best and I would show off and be like, make something badass. And
all right, guys, let me.
No. I wouldn't do that. But it's like, then it's like, oh shit, did you see what Ray put together? You know what I mean? And so now there's like a way to like instantly get known, because there's also people that do it for a living that are like the ones that are putting on the show that aren't on the teams, and so it's like they see that stuff too, because their job is to be mentors and like help you get better, and then so they're like, oh shit, you should come to our next thing, we're gonna do this, or like, hey, you should help us, or like, what do you do, and you're like, oh, I do this for a living, I just wanted to come meet some people, you know what I mean? And it's like this great icebreaker to like meet people while you're making stuff.
That's a good move.
But to your point, you learn a lot from, because there's people that come there like, yeah, I'm a real estate agent, I think I just don't want to do that anymore.
Oh, that's the thing. I love like people that, because we already know like certain things, even though we try to like break out of our like, box or whatever and do things or think differently. It's always cool when you get somebody who doesn't know shit about technology and they come in and they're like, well, what if we did this and it did this? And you're like, that's badass and it could work. Like, fuck, I love it.
No, I love that.
Well, dude, we're up on an hour. Anything we should? Bye. We just go with the outro. Anything else we need to bring up before we bounce?
Subscribe, like, do all the things.
Definitely. I always say bye, and then I come back and say, oh wait. So please do so. The why don't we do just like 2 minutes of like high level numbers? Like we in the first couple episodes, we were talking about numbers. You and I both, we chatted a little bit, and I told you I quit looking at the numbers. And you said you kind of did the same.
I literally
it was like stressful.
stopped looking.
One thing that I saw, here's what stressed me out first. Because we had this we had this like, I don't know, something happened. We started getting in the algorithm. We're kind of playing around. You kind of taken the lead on like playing around with experiments. And I think just experimenting in general, something's working. So we started getting like good numbers. And there was one day you and I jumped on a call. So I've been launching them at 7 a.m. And so we were on a call probably at like 11. And every time I would refresh it, it was like more people. And I was like, dude, we're at like 200 and it's only been up for like 3 hours. Well, then I go the other day to one of our, maybe it was the recent one, and it's like later that day. Like it'd been up like 10 hours and it had like 4 views. I was like, what? But then I told you that I was like, dude, we suck today. And it was on a holiday. And you're like, maybe that's it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know.
But now that one's like crushing it.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know. I think it's good to look, but it's bad to obsess. And so I'm trying now because I was getting obsessive. I was literally looking at every video trying to.
Well, I don't think I would have been so obsessive if it hadn't gotten such a fiery start. Like I wasn't expecting that. So if it was just like, you know, next to nothing, I would have been like, cool. Don't have any expectations. But once we got 3,000 on that first one, I was like, all right, we're on.
Well, so you said something the other day and I was like, holy shit. I didn't realize it's only been like a month.
Yeah, I think we're literally like at a month right now. And
I told you, like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it feels like we've been doing this forever. But I don't know. That was crazy. I was like, okay, so now when you think of it like that, okay, it's only been a month. We have 467 subscribers.
Whoop, whoop.
We're about to hit 20,000 views on all of our videos combined. Dude, the last one that we posted has over 7,000 views.
That's ridiculous. Some very absurd conversation,
but
as well.
the beauty of it though is that, because this is the thing that I actually look at. I try not to even look at the numbers because I don't. I care, but it's not what I'm.
Yeah, there's other metrics that you're saying are.
I focus on
for the long run.
Where did the viewer come from, right? And the majority of the user or the viewers are coming from YouTube recommending us after another video, or it's showing up in search. Or it's showing up in like one of their, recommended engines things. Or like I'm browsing, right?
Damn, thanks YouTube.
And so that makes up 85% of our traffic.
That's good, right?
No, that to me is fantastic.
That's the goal.
Like, the goal is for you to not have to pimp yourself. It's for YouTube,
which we've been doing a pretty horrible job at.
We are horrible at promoting ourselves, but just think what we would do if we were actually doing that as well.
Dude, 10,000 views.
Yeah. So no, I don't know.
That's cool.
I'm extremely happy with our stats. Obviously it's like, I want it to stay steady and keep growing. And I told you like I didn't really have a goal, for the podcast, but now I'm like, I just want one of those plaques. And like we need a lot of.
Dude, you told me about the plaque. Now I want one too. Yeah. So we have to get 100,000 downloads.
100,000 subscribers. So we're a little far away from that first.
I thought it was down. I thought you had said downloads the other day, and I was like, we're at like 20,000. Like this is achievable.
No.
All right, we've got a little more work to do.
It's subscribers.
I thought that was a little too easy. Damn it.
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, guys, help us get to the 100.
But we are close. One last stat. We are already a month in, really getting closer to monetizing. Like,
wait, what do we have to do to monetize?
Like, have to have, I think it's like 200 subscribers, a bunch of views, bunch of people watching stuff. Like we've almost hit all the things in like a month.
How do you know all the metrics?
That's crazy.
I feel like I should know this. I mean, how do you know what all the metrics are to allow us to do that?
It tells you.
Sweet. That's what I wanted to know. I hate that. No, I hate that. Like when we're trying to figure out like the system, it's like there's nothing out there. Well, I wouldn't say that. There's not like a definitive playbook for like do this, do this, do this.
Okay.
And that's good because everybody would game the system.
So we need 1,000 subscribers.
All right. Okay, we're almost halfway there.
We need to set up 2-step verification. We already did that. We had to not have any strikes against us for the community guidelines, which we don't have any. And then we have to have 4,000 watch hours. So all the people will have watched.
How many watch hours are we at?
We're at like 500.
Okay. So 8
that,
times.
That's the one that's the slower burn.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just one of those things, which is, I don't know, it's interesting. Like the subscribers are climbing. If like essentially at this rate in another month, we should be able to hit close to 1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The watch hours one, obviously,
which is also going to help because
totally
more people subscribe, more people watching.
It compounds. It's like interest, right? So
yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
So I don't know. I think
cool.
we're doing fantastic as far as the stats go, but I think we're doing a horrible job of promoting it and
yeah, we talked about that a
we
little,
need to do better.
and I think we're gonna either talk about it in more depth in an episode, just around just the podcast in general. Maybe we'll do a little mini episode. That's probably the right way to do it. But yeah, all the stuff we need
we'll
to
just
do.
record our photo shoot and like all
Nice.
the dumb things that we do, all of our TikToks.
Yeah, because we got to start doing that shit. All right. Well, cool, man. I'm hyped. I think we got obviously we got a badass audience. So thanks, gang.
Except for
Curtis. Except for Curtis. Well, everybody, shout out.
Right,
people are like, oh, I got mentioned on the podcast. I mean, they were shitting on me, but I got mentioned.
I'm gonna tell him it's at the very end, so he has to watch the whole thing.
Yep. Well, hey, everyone, if you have a chance and you would be so kind, give us a review on the podcast, Apple's review thingy. That's the one that counts the most. You can also give us stars on Spotify. And then on YouTube, we're on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. Leave us a comment. That'd be awesome. But also subscribe and like and even hit that little alert bell. Because you got to know when we're dropping hot videos.
Because we're doing a lot more now, so I feel like you probably missed a few episodes.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to miss one. You want all of it.
They're all gold.
Yeah, T-boys. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I'm Stephen Ray.
Ray Hernandez.
All right. Until next time. Deuces.
Later.